Hey, good afternoon to you. It is now 5:06 News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we're making sense of the news. You can join us today, 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. We were just speaking with Richie McGinnis, who is outside of the D.C. jail at this hour, still awaiting the release of so many of these January 6th political prisoners. Some clarity. We were just talking about whether or not President Trump's actions yesterday affected people who were awaiting pending trials. They do. Here's the detail from the actual executive action the president took yesterday. He commuted the sentences of 14 individuals. He granted a full and complete and unconditional pardon to individuals who were convicted of January 6th related crimes. Convicted. That's somewhere in the vicinity of 1,500 people who were affected by that. And then additionally, he directed the attorney general, right now the acting attorney general, to dismiss with prejudice, meaning that case can't come back, to the government all pending indictments against individuals for events related to January 6th of 2021. So it's not just, it's pardons for the people who've been convicted, and then it's straight up dismiss with prejudice. That's the president ordering the Justice Department to say, you are done with this case, let's get rid of it. So that's what's happening right now. And he says the Bureau of Prisons shall immediately implement all instructions from the Department of Justice regarding this directive. Immediately, not 24 hours from now, not the weeks ahead. Immediately were the president's orders. Speaking of the president, we are expecting remarks from President Trump, perhaps imminently. This was scheduled originally for 4 o'clock this afternoon. We're now getting in a little bit past 5 o'clock now. The president is expected to make remarks related to infrastructure, specifically artificial intelligence. That's the reporting coming out now from a variety of places, including CBS's Jennifer Jacobs. Trump to announce up to $500 billion, that's a lot of money, in private sector AI infrastructure investment. The president set to announce billions of dollars in this private sector investment to build artificial intelligence infrastructure in the United States, CBS News has learned. OpenAI, SoftBank, and Oracle are planning a joint venture called Stargate, according to multiple people familiar with the deal. SoftBank CEO Masayoshi Son is expected at the White House this afternoon, along with Sam Altman of OpenAI and Larry Ellison of Oracle. Executives from the companies are expected to say they plan to commit $100 billion initially and pour up to $500 billion into Stargate over the next 4 years. Other details of that partnership were not immediately available. I guess we'll find out more as the president steps up to the microphone. It looks like they will be doing this from the Roosevelt Room, which hopefully has a giant painting of Teddy Roosevelt riding a horse inside of that room, so you know where you're at, just across from the Oval Office. So the president, when he's done with whatever business he's doing in the Oval, presumably will walk on over right across the hall to the Roosevelt Room and make an announcement to the country. I will try and bring that to you as it happens. But first, one other element that I want to talk about with you is that the president, in his executive actions, one of the actions he took yesterday was to safeguard TikTok, the Chinese Communist Party-controlled app, for at least 75 more days in the United States. There's a law that dictates that it has to go away. Either they sell off to a non-Chinese entity or they disappear in the country. The president has, at the moment, granted them a reprieve. For more on this subject, I want to bring in John Yoo. He's a UC Berkeley law professor and a former deputy assistant attorney general. John, good to have you on the show, sir.
Oh, great. Great to be with you again.
So give me your sense of, first of all, TikTok, what we should do about them, and what kind of wiggle room, if any, President Trump has here to keep it alive.
But let me say, I think most of President Trump's executive orders are constitutional and legal in areas like immigration and foreign policy, national security. They're making a lot of important changes. But I think this TikTok extension has a problem. And the main problem is that there doesn't seem to be any authority for President Trump to extend the period for TikTok either to close or be sold. Congress actually tried to do Trump a favor. They said by the day before he took the presidential oath, which was yesterday. So on January 19th, the law said TikTok either had to be closed or sold. So President Trump, it's kind of like as a professor, I can't give an extension to any student after the exam period's over. Once the exam period's over, it's over.
As I understand it, isn't there a provision inside of the law that does permit the president to grant a 90-day extension to TikTok on the condition that a buyer be in the process of obtaining it?
Yes. Yeah, so that's the second problem, is that even if President Trump could extend the period, which, I don't think he can because the period's over already. But even if he could, President Trump can only do it if there's already been progress towards a sale, if there's already legal agreements in place to execute the sale, if there's evidence that there's a buyer and what they're doing. And, fortunately, TikTok had 270 days, and repeatedly they said they would not sell. And so they made no efforts to try to and this is very important because, of course, President Trump, when he was in office the first time, he's the one who actually tried to force a closure of TikTok because he and his staff realized the Chinese Communist Party was trying to use it to gather data on 170 million Americans.
Okay, so TikTok, you don't just obtain TikTok like through osmosis. You've got to go to an app store.
Yeah.
In order to pick up TikTok. You got to go to Apple, you got to go to Google, and you have to navigate to it and download it. Is there any peril for Apple or Google to continue offering TikTok on their stores right now?
Vince, you do a better job of reading statutes than my students out here at Berkeley. That's a really important element that people are not reporting in the press, is that this bill, not only does it say that TikTok had to have closed on Sunday or sold, it also says anybody else who distributes the program, who hosts the program. So you're right. It actually goes beyond just the names you list, like Apple Store, Google Play. It also includes Amazon, Microsoft, Oracle. If they're hosting any of TikTok on their cloud services, they're all liable too. And the fines are steep. The fines are, it's unbelievable, $5,000 per TikTok user per day.
Yes.
So we're talking hundreds of billion dollars of fines that potentially could be levied on our biggest tech companies.
But those fines would be assessed by the executive branch, correct? Or is this a matter for the judicial branch? Because President Trump, obviously now back in office, he can instruct the Justice Department to back off of these companies if he so desires and to not pursue them for violations of the law. What kind of latitude does the president have here as the chief executive to give a reprieve to all of these companies?
Yeah. So here's where it really gets difficult. Is you're right, Vince. The statute also says that only the attorney general can bring a suit for these fines. Although, look, how many times has President Trump changed his mind on something?
Yes.
He may say you get 70 days now, but he could change his mind tomorrow. And tomorrow, those fines could start, and the Justice Department could start prosecuting. But the other thing is, look, if you're a shareholder, if you have any Apple stock, or I have Apple stock, I could sue Apple and say you are risking the company to hundreds of billions of dollars in fines if you were to distribute TikTok. And I'm a shareholder. You're ruining the value of the company.
Interesting.
That's a very common thing to do. The other thing is states' attorney general. So states could say, why can't I investigate now? Why can't I go after TikTok? They're selling, if you're Apple, right? If you're Google, why can't the Attorney General of New York, who likes to sue everybody from what I can tell, why can't the Attorney General of New York say, oh, these companies are now selling a product in my state that's illegal under federal law?
Yeah. Wait until they find out about marijuana. Which of course has been happening forever. Speaking of Apple and Google, it is worth mentioning that as of this hour, apparently on both the Apple and the Google app stores, TikTok is not available right now. So those two companies are heeding the language of this law. But the president is again at the moment, it seems to be he's extending the period in which users who already have it downloaded are going to be able to keep using the platform. And by the way, I should also point out that TikTok has been very much sucking up to President Trump throughout this entire period, including with a message that they posted to their own app this week, thanking him for keeping the app alive. So there's a lot of politicking going on amidst all of this, John Yoo.
That's exactly right. But look, TikTok is such an advantage for China to have to try to conduct intelligence on the United States. I can see why they're sucking up to President Trump. They're desperate to keep their service open. They don't want to sell it or turn it over to anyone else because that would ruin the advantage it gives them.
Well, just, outside of the legal aspect of it now, one of my concerns is that if all of a sudden China comes out and says, okay, yeah, we found a seller that we found a buyer rather that we found acceptable in the United States. I don't know about you, John, but I would be deeply suspicious of the buyer if China has given them the big green check mark as the kind of person who can buy TikTok.
Yes, and that's a great point. And the law tries to make it difficult for anyone who's kind of affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party or with the real owners of TikTok to sort of create some kind of shell company and buy it. So you really want to make sure it goes 100%, not 50%, not 25%, 100% to really an independent American buyer. And that hasn't happened. There's been 270 days to see if that happened. Now, President Trump's a great deal maker, and maybe he can find a solution to this. But the easiest thing for him to do would just be to let TikTok close and close this way for China to surveil us.
Finally, we've kind of talked about a lot of it. I think you really kind of satisfied the answer to this question, but I'll ask it anyway. Is there a reason why he went with 75 days in your view rather than the 90 that appears in the statute?
Well, I think that he doesn't want to. I mean, if he's smart, he doesn't want to make it 90 days because he doesn't want to make it seem like he's relying on that provision of the statute. He's just, according to the White House right now, he's just told the Justice Department, hold off on enforcing the law for a few days. Right? But hopefully, I think he and his aides are looking at this problem now, and they're going to realize this is not our problem. This is TikTok's problem, and we can just step aside and let the law take effect, and TikTok should step forward and comply with the law. Why does President Trump want to save them from their own bad decisions?
There's no question what this is. This is a Chinese Communist Party operation, both as a psyop and as a national security data collection operation. And in fact, if you go back in time, President Trump said as much in his first administration, which is why he banned it from government devices in the first place. And I hope he gets back to that. I think he's doing a fantastic job as president. And this is one of those areas where he can really stick it to an adversary. But we'll see. He's trying to make deals, and maybe something good comes out of all this. Hey, John Yoo, thank you very much. Really appreciate your time and wisdom today, sir.
I really appreciate you having me on and happy to come back anytime.
Thank you very, very much. That's President Trump just moments ago stepping up to the microphone in the Roosevelt Room for a big announcement about private investment in the United States in artificial intelligence. Here he is from the top.
Well, thank you very much, and it's an honor to be here today. We have first full day as president. We're back. And we had a great first term, but we're going to have an even better second term. And I think we're going to do things that people will be shocked at. We're starting off with tremendous investment coming into our country at levels that nobody's really ever seen before. And they're very happy with the fact that I won the race and that they feel confident in their investments. And it's big money and high quality people. So my first day back from having a nice life, it's my honor to welcome three of the world's leading technology CEOs. And in the case of Larry Ellison, it's well beyond technology. He's sort of CEO of everything. He's an amazing man and an amazing business person. But to announce the largest AI infrastructure project by far in history, and it's all taking place right here in America.
We're going to need a lot of energy.
As you know, there's great competition for AI and other things, and they're coming in at the highest level. We're joined by Oracle Executive Chairman Larry Ellison, SoftBank CEO, my friend Masa Yoshi-san, and CEO of OpenAI, and I would say the by far the leading expert based on everything I read, Sam Altman. So that's great that you're coming in together. That's a massive group of talent and money. Together, these world-leading technology giants are announcing the formation of Stargate. So put that name down in your books, because I think you're going to hear a lot about it in the future. A new American company that will invest $500 billion at least in AI infrastructure in the United
States. I do want to point one thing out. I'm just putting a pause for the president here for a moment. Sam Altman of OpenAI is no friend of Elon Musk. These two are very at odds with one another. And so this idea that Elon is somehow dictating the presidency is instantly disproven by the fact that President Trump has Sam Altman in the room with him right now to announce this AI project.
States and very, very quickly, moving very rapidly, creating over 100,000 American jobs almost immediately. This monumental undertaking is a resounding declaration of confidence in America's potential under a new president. Let me be a new president. I didn't say it, they did. So I appreciate that, fellas. But it'll ensure the future of technology. What we want to do is we want to keep it in this country. China is a competitor and others are competitors. We want it to be in this country, and we're making it available. I'm going to help a lot through emergency declarations, because we have an emergency. We have to get this stuff built. So they have to produce a lot of electricity, and we'll make it possible for them to get that production done very easily at their own plants if they want, where they'll build at the plant, the AI plant, they'll build energy generation.
Yes, they have, there's a lot of good, interesting technology here. Modular nuclear technology, small nuclear plants to power some of these data centers that'll be used in artificial intelligence. This is a big deal, this announcement. More on the other side of the news here on WMAL. Hey, good afternoon to you. It is now 5:35 News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we're making sense of the news. You can join us 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. The golden age of America, President Trump is calling his 47th term. Well, actually, his second term, but the 47th president of the United States. He is speaking as we speak right now from the White House, from the Roosevelt Room, announcing up to a $500 billion package of private sector investment into artificial intelligence. They're calling it Stargate. He's standing alongside some of these big AI CEOs, returning now to the president and his remarks.
And that will be incredible. But it's technology and artificial intelligence, all made in the USA. Beginning immediately, Stargate will be building the physical and virtual infrastructure to power the next generation of advancements in AI, and this will include the construction of colossal data centers, very, very massive structures. I was in the real estate business. These buildings, these are big, beautiful buildings. They're going to employ a lot of people. And physical campuses in locations currently being scouted nationwide. They're making their choices of locations. I think they have their choice. I'd like to ask Larry, Sam, and Masa to say a few words and just talk about a little bit about what they're doing, and if you have any questions, and then we'll go into a couple of other subjects also. But this is, to me, a very big thing. $500 billion Stargate project, I think, is going to be something that's very special. It'll lead to something that could be the biggest of all. So, Larry, maybe we'll start with you, and we'll go down the line. Thank you.
Larry Ellison, Oracle.
Thank you, Mr. President. We certainly couldn't do this without you. It would simply be impossible. AI holds incredible promise for all of us, for every American. We've actually been working with OpenAI for a while and with Masa for a while. The data centers are actually under construction. The first of them are under construction in Texas. Each building's 500,000 square feet. There are 10 buildings currently being built, but that will expand to 20, and other locations beyond the Abilene location, which is our first location. The kind of applications that we're building, to give you an idea, maybe the most charismatic and the one that I think touches us all is electronic health records not just maintaining electronic health records, but by looking at electronic health records, understanding the condition of doctors, better understanding the condition of their patients, and being able to provide healthcare plans that are much better than they otherwise would be. A doctor in Indian River Reservation would be able to see how a doctor at Memorial Sloan Kettering would treat the patient, or a doctor at Stanford would treat the patient. We actually provide all of that information, all of that guidance to the doctors who are treating cancer patients or patients with any other kind of disease, made possible by AI. I'm not going to take a lot of time. I'm going to pass it to Masa, but this is a very exciting program for Oracle to be a part of. Thank you.
There's a lot of medical uses that could supplement the work of doctors, reading X-rays and reports and looking at everything. So kind of an amazing technology.
Good. That's great. I feel tall now.
Masayoshi Son of SoftBank
Mr.
now speaking.
President, last month I came to celebrate your winning and promised that we will invest $100 billion. And you told me, oh, Masa, go for 200. Yeah. Now I came back with 500.
500 billion.
Because this is as you said yesterday, this is the beginning of golden age of America. This is one great example, I think, right? We wouldn't have decided to do this.
I think so.
This is the beginning of golden age. We wouldn't have decided unless you won. And yesterday we agreed, we signed to make this happen.
That's great.
Because of this day.
We would lose the AI race with Biden in office.
We would make this happen. We would immediately start deploying $100 billion with a goal of making $500 billion within next 4 years, within your term. Right?
Within your term.
Because of your success. So we are very, very excited to do this. And our partner is, of course, SoftBank, OpenAI, Oracle, and additionally investing partner with MGX. On top of that, we have the technology partner NVIDIA, and of course Microsoft has been very, very supportive to Sam and continue to support all our success. This is not just for business. As Larry said, this will help people's life. This will help solving many, many issues, difficult things that otherwise we could not have solved.
It's going to take a lot
with
of energy.
the power of AI. I think AGI is coming very, very soon. And after that, that's not the goal. After that, artificial super intelligence will come to solve the issues that mankind would never, ever have thought that we could solve.
There's some peril in what he's talking
this
about.
This is the beginning of our golden age. Thank you very much.
You know, Sam Altman, the head of OpenAI, is theirs too. Remember, they have ChatGPT, which has lied to you. I'm just going to pause it for a moment. They have been lying to you about what a woman is. There are elements of ChatGPT that are rigged, loaded. So, you know, as President Trump does favors for these guys, in other words, kicks down regulatory barriers that make it difficult to get all of that energy up and online, enhances our grid, and makes it so that these data centers can exist and enhance our lives, it will be meaningful to hover over their activities to make sure that they're not distorting this to become a weapon against you.
I did want to say I'm thrilled we get to do this in the United States of America. I think this will be the most important project of this era. And as Masa said, for AGI to get built here, to create hundreds of thousands of jobs, to create a new industry centered here, we wouldn't be able to do this without you, Mr. President. And I'm thrilled that we get to. I think it'll be an exciting project. I think we'll be able to do all of the wonderful things that these guys talked about. But the fact that we get to do this in the United States is, I think, wonderful. So thank you very much.
Could you just say one word? I hear so many positive things about what it's going to do for medical research and for solving things, cancer and all the different problems. How will AI help us with the fight against the various problems, diseases, etc.?
These guys can maybe share more about some of the work they're doing there. I think they'll jointly be some of the leaders about driving progress here. But I believe that as this technology progresses, we will see diseases get cured at an unprecedented rate. We will be amazed at how quickly we're curing this cancer and that one and heart disease, and what this will do for the ability to deliver very high quality healthcare, the costs, but really to cure the diseases at a rapid rate, I think will be among the most important things this technology does.
Great. Very good. Thank you.
Larry Ellison, return to the microphone.
So we're currently working on. Should I step on this? Okay. All right. No. I'm not that tall. I'm not that tall.
Did they put a little booster?
Thank you, Mr. President.
They put a booster
one of the
behind
most exciting things
podium.
we're working on.
Lectern.
Using the tools that Sam and Masa are providing, is a cancer vaccine. It's very interesting. It turns out, I'll be quick, all of our cancers, cancer tumors, little fragments of those tumors float around in your blood. So you can do early cancer detection. If you can do using you can do early cancer detection with a blood test. And using AI to look at the blood test, you can find the cancers that are actually seriously threatening the person. So we can, again, cancer diagnosis using AI has the promise of just being a simple blood test. Then beyond that, once we gene sequence that cancer tumor, you can then vaccinate the person, design a vaccine for every individual person to vaccinate them against that cancer. And you can make that vaccine, that mRNA vaccine, you can make that robotically, again, using AI in about 48 hours. So imagine early cancer detection.
Slow down, son.
The development of a cancer vaccine for your particular cancer aimed at you, and have that vaccine available in 48 hours.
This is not a selling point.
This is the promise of AI and the promise of the future.
Just a lot more mRNA vaccines coming. Yeah, that's not. Why don't you slow down on that, son? There's a lot of good that can be done here, but I think people are still a little stung by the last round of mRNA vaccines.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, just 1 second. We'll finish up. But these are highly respected guys. I was shocked with Larry because I don't even think Larry does this stuff. You did a very good job for a guy that doesn't do it much, right? But he's so respected, and the group, and it's really an honor. But for Larry to be here and do this is very unusual because he doesn't do this stuff. He doesn't need it. He does, and you don't need it, do you? Huh? You don't need it. But I think it's an honor to the country. It's a great honor that this group, these are the top people, that they're going to do it, and they're going to do it here, and we're going to make it as easy as it can be. A $500 million Stargate project comes in addition to a separate pledge between $100 and $200 billion from, as we know, from Masa that we talked about before. Also $20 billion from DMAC, which was great. And we have many others that are coming. Some I just announce it. It's easier, but with some, I know them, and they're so highly respected, I'd rather do it this way. Many would like to do it this way, but we're letting the world know what's happening. This is money that normally would have gone to China or other countries, but in particular China. In total, before the end of my first full business day in Washington in the White House, we've already secured nearly $3 trillion of new investments in the United States, and probably that's going to be 6 or 7 by the end of the week. Tremendous amounts of money are coming in for many things other than even AI. AI seems to be very hot. It seems to be the thing that a lot of smart people are looking at very strongly. And our country will be prospering like never before. I think that's true, and it's going to be the golden age of America. As I say, yesterday we had the most ambitious, action-oriented day of any administration in history. No, there's never been a first day like yesterday, as you know. I signed a sweeping slate of executive orders to stop the invasion of our borders. I launched a government-wide effort to defeat inflation and bring down the cost of daily life and bring down the cost of energy, magnificently bring it down. And when energy comes down, Larry, I'd say generally speaking, when energy comes down, everything else comes down. The prices of food and the prices of everything else come down. Energy is that's the big baby. And we declared a national energy emergency to drill, baby, drill, our term that we use. We're going to drill, baby, drill like never before. We ended destructive DEI mandates across the federal government and returned our country to a merit-based system and a common sense system. As you know, the Supreme Court gave us a decision on merit, where things in this country can be based on merit now instead of a lot of different rules, regulations, and things that really put our country at a big disadvantage. We permanently stopped government censorship and restored free speech. That was signed yesterday. We renamed the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. Sounds so beautiful, the Gulf of America.
You see DeSantis
and returned the
already
name
using that.
of a great president, William McKinley, to Mount McKinley. They took off the name. And he was actually a great president. He was a very, very successful businessman. He ran for governor of Ohio. He won and did a great job as governor, ran for president, and he won. He was assassinated, ultimately, in his second term, unfortunately. But he was the tariff king, and I don't think he was as bad as I am. I think I believe in him even more than him, but he believed in him very strongly. And he raised massive amounts of money. Our country was at its richest from 1870 to 1913. We had the most. That was when we were the richest, relatively speaking. We were the richest during that period of time.
All right, let me. We're gonna pick up in a moment. As I understand it, just push forward in a second because he does take some questions. We'll see if we can squeeze a few of those in as the press throws them at the President of the United States, 47th. All right, the president conducting a press conference now, and the press they're angry that he's president. Let's just put it that way. The legacy media. This is him, President Trump, moments ago, mixing it up with an NBC reporter about his January 6 pardons for all those political prisoners.
You would agree that it's never acceptable to assault a police officer,
Sure.
right? So then if I can, among those you pardoned, DJ Rodriguez, he drove a stun gun into the neck of a D.C. police officer who was abducted by the mob that day. He later confessed on video to the FBI and pleaded guilty for his crimes. Why does he deserve a pardon?
Well, I don't know. Was it a pardon? Because we're looking at commutes and we're looking at pardons. Okay, well, we'll take a look at everything. But I can say this. Murderers today are not even charged. You have murderers that aren't charged all over. You take a look at what's gone on in Philadelphia. Take a look at what's gone on in L.A., where people murder people and they don't get charged. These people have already served years in prison. And they've served them viciously. It's a disgusting prison. It's been horrible. It's inhumane. It's been a terrible, terrible thing. I also say this. You go to Portland, where they wrapped police officers, shot police officers. Nothing happened to anybody. You go to Seattle, where they took over a big chunk of the city and people died.
Yep.
Portland, a lot of people died. Wait a minute. And you go also, take a look at Minneapolis, because I was there and I watched it. And if I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city wouldn't even exist
Police
today.
precincts.
People were killed and nobody went to jail. So these people have already served a long period of time, and I made a decision to give a pardon. Joe Biden gave a pardon yesterday to a lot of criminals. These are criminals that he gave a pardon to.
His family.
And you should be asking that question. Why did he give a pardon to all of these people that committed crimes? Why did he give a pardon to the J6 Unselect Committee when they burned and destroyed all documents which showed that they did what was wrong, not me? Wait a minute. Why did they give a pardon to all of his relatives, his brother who made millions of dollars, to all these different people? He gave pardons. That's the question you should be answering. All right, go ahead. Yeah, please.
If I can just follow up with that really fast?
No.
I just want to ask
Go ahead.
You said you will.
No, you don't get a follow-up. We are so back. Aren't we? We're so back. The White House press secretary has yet to do a press conference because Trump has him handled for now. It's nice to hear from the president. That hasn't happened much in the last couple of years. The great one, Mark Levin, up next here on WMAL.